Hi guys, this is GM Life Coach. This is the third installment of our Quarantine Life series. And in this episode, we have Candice. Candice is going to talk about her experience of quarantine life and how she's had to adapt. And her family's also had to adapt to staying indoors and not going out. And also her trips out when she's had to go shopping. It's a very interesting episode, and I think you'll like it, guys. So I'm not going to waste no time as usual. I'm not going to rub it on. So this is Candice, and this is her Quarantine Life. I am
GM, the Life Coach.
My life in quarantine. I'm a mother of three. My oldest is 22, and she's an NHS nurse, so she works in St Thomas's Hospital. She's actually on the COVID-19 ward, so that's a constant worry every time she has a shift and she comes off her shift. Will she develop any symptoms that she's not being tested? So that's also a constant worry on my mind. I also have a 12-year-old who is fairly sufficient herself, so she can get on with her work. She might need a little help, but that's fine. And I have a 5-year-old son who has development language disorder and is also on the autistic spectrum. So that's quite entertaining in our house. And I also have to work from home. So for the first 2 weeks before we had the holiday, I had to have a routine for him, which was quite difficult as his school never gave me instructions on how they do things at his school. So predominantly that was quite hard for me, because where I'm trying to get him, for instance, to hold a pencil, to be able to hold a pencil, because his fine motor skills are not as they should be for a 5-year-old. So I had to go online to find information on how to do that. Plus I'm working from home. I also work in education as well. So as a teacher, I had to be going online, putting on online work for the students to do. Plus every day I had to have my own meetings that I would have in school. So I'd have to have my line management meeting. I only teach 3 days a week, and 2 days a week I also work in the admin department. So I'd also have to be having their meetings as well. And then dealing with my son's tantrums. So it was quite hard. Finally got him into a routine, which is easier. So now life is better. I can enjoy being a mum, which when I was working full time, I never had. It's silly to say, but I wasn't a mum. I was a part-time mum, because what would happen is I would see you at 6 o'clock when I pick you up, and then I'd have dinner, put you to bed, and on the weekend you're doing all your activities. So on the weekend, for want of a better word, I was a chauffeur. And then we'd come down Sunday, you have church, you have dinner, and you're back to school on Monday. But now I do have that routine of watching you learning, getting the thrills of seeing you working. I mean, for the first 2 weeks, it was all about his temper tantrums. His speech is not that great as well. So it's, now I've got a now and the next card. And, I do believe that the best teachers nowadays are mums. And so he has developed quite a lot. He can speak. His speech is coming along. We also, as your first interview lady did say, we also are doing things like, Keon can now I've taught him how to make a sandwich. He does the washing. He put the washing in, take the washing out, put it in the tumble dryer. As Natalie said in her interview, thank goodness for a garden. My garden is my saving grace with him, because when he starts to get agitated or, he's feeling a bit lost, because if he's trying to say something and he can't say it, he gets very agitated. So I'll say, okay, Keon, time out, and he could go in the garden and have we're quite lucky that he has a trampoline so he can go out there. We're doing a lot of cake making. So, life in quarantine can be difficult. I'm also a single parent as well. So the difficulties of going to the shop just to buy food, because children are not allowed in the food shop. So I'm not allowed in the supermarket. So that's been quite difficult. On a couple of occasions, what I've had to do is go to the supermarket and leave the children in the car and run in and run out. But because I go to the same Sainsbury's where they know my son all the time, because he does have they're used to him because he has a sunflower lanyard, and they kind of used one time when the security guard stood by the car while I ran in and ran out. So, my shopping at the present moment is 20 minutes max. I'm in and out within 20 minutes because you don't really want to leave your children in the car too long. Cannot get an online delivery slot at all. Contact the government website, but we don't come under the vulnerability group, even though my son does get disability benefits. You know, he has a disability blue badge. He does receive disability benefits, and he's also in a special unit school, but we still don't get any help in that aspect. The government actually did say as well that all schools where your child is classed as vulnerable and they have the educational health care plan, they should be open. My son's school closed from day one. So sometimes there's not everything you hear the government saying is actually true. But I'm thankful for the time that I have at home with him. You know, just learning different things. You're going back to old school methods at the moment. So we're doing loads of hand skills, cooking. We're using clothes pegs. Any little things we can find in the house to, you know, build up his motor skills. Ice is my favourite friend at the moment as well because he's throwing the ice from one hand to another. He's putting the ice in his mouth to help him develop his speech. So, you know, it's just one of those things that I thank the Lord that I have been able to be at home with him. As Natalie has and the other First Lady has said as well, I am working a lot harder than before. I explained everything to my line manager and they know about my son's disabilities, so they haven't been that hard on me. So what I kind of do now is on a Sunday night, I work up until 1 o'clock, making sure all the lessons have been scheduled on the classroom, and then they go out at particular times. So all I have to do in the week is when the students ask for support or how to do something, I can answer the questions more than getting up in the morning and putting the work on. So I actually have planned 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time. Yeah, that's my story.
GM, the life coach. Only on Speaker.com, YouTube, Spotify, Google and Apple Podcasts, Soundcloud, and Castbox. Like, share, and subscribe now.